What's happening, guys? We're back. We're gonna mount the hood today. Alright, this episode is all about mounting the hood. I mentioned in the last episode, I want to get to the point where we have a firewall, because once we have a firewall, we can start kind of mounting things like the heater and some of the fuse boxes and the electricals. But before we can put the firewall on, we have to mount the hood, because we've already mounted the nose cone. So the nose cone's here and the cowl has to go here. And if I mount the cowling, it's either going to be too close and we're going to have to sand the hood and make it fit, or it's going to be too far away and we're going to have these big massive panel gaps. So instead of doing that, we're going to mount we have the nose cone mounted, and we're going to mount the hood behind that and then mount the cowl behind that. So you kind of commit to working from one end to the other. Probably the best way to do it would have been the reverse of this. We probably should have mounted the cowling first and then move forward, but we are where we are. So, want to get the hood mounted. It is going to be a flip forward hood, largely because I'm a little bit nervous of my hood flipping up at speed. I don't know if any of you guys have had your hoods come up at speed. I have, and it sucks. I bought a 96 Jeep Grand Cherokee for my first vehicle, and I didn't know it, but it had been in an accident and the rad core support was bent, so the hood latch didn't quite latch, and 80 mile an hour, or not 80 mile, 80 kilometers an hour, hood comes up, can't see shit, gotta kind of duck and weave and drive by braille. So we're gonna not do that on this car. We're gonna have a forward flipping hood. So what I did a little bit of preliminary work, little prerequisites. We're gonna have to do some bracketry. So I came out here over the last couple days and we got to do like kind of this swan neck arrangement. So I cut a couple pieces of cardboard and mocked them in there. So basically what you have is the swan neck so that you can kind of rotate it around and it'll go all the way around. So normally you would have, this would be kind of your stationary point, and then this bracket would be mounted to your hood, and it would kind of swan neck up like that, up and out of the way. We're gonna actually do that in reverse. So this piece is gonna get mounted to the car, this piece is gonna get mounted to the hood, and we're gonna do that so that if you watch, here, I'll get my fat head out of the way. If you watch this point right here in relation to here, if you think that this is the nose cone and this is the hood, the first action is it's gonna go down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have our hood made up with the nose cone, but then the hood is actually gonna have a lip that goes underneath the nose cone. So if there's any aerodynamic lift on the front of that hood, it'll just seal up against the nose cone. So I cut up a bunch of brackets, tried a couple different iterations, whatnot, went through it, found the ones that I think are gonna be the right ones. So it's this guy and this guy and this guy. Those are two brackets that I think are gonna be the right ones. So I went ahead and cut them out of aluminum. So I got 4 of the swan necks, and then I also got 4 little tabs. So those will go on there like that, and then whoop, and our hood will go up. So we got all the brackets cut out. So we are like 2% of the way done. What we're gonna have to do is, I got a couple of, just flat chunks of aluminum. Once again, this aluminum is way thicker than it needs to be, but it's easy to weld on, and I have it. So we're gonna use it. So what we need to do is cut this to length, and we're gonna mount this one underneath the nose cone, and we're actually gonna weld these brackets to our intercooler radiator mount, as well as to the underside of the nose cone, so that they're nice and solid and hopefully nothing moves. And then got a slightly wider piece. We're gonna put this on the front edge of the hood, and we're actually gonna leave about 1/2 inch sticking out forward. So that 1/2 inch should hook underneath the nose cone and prevent any of that aerodynamic lift. So that's 5 minutes of explanation to tell you that I skipped a couple steps and we're now ready to, I don't know, we'll cut this piece and probably drill some holes in the nose cone, get that piece mounted underneath there, and then we can tack these guys in place under there and just kind of, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we're just gonna go at this one bite at a time. So let's go. Slight change of plans. We're gonna do the hood side mounts first. So that's a problem. We did a whole bunch of jigging and measuring and whatnot to try to get those plates to all line up perfectly. And they're very parallel, but they're not square to each other. All of our plates are basically rhombused over a little bit. So if we welded those down like they are, our bolts would be at an angle, and then when we try to open our hood, it wouldn't act as like a single hinge. So that's not gonna work. Obviously the way that we had it jigged up and fixtured is not good enough. And the proper way to do this is to have like these are 1/4 inch holes. If I had a 1/4 inch steel pin that I could put them all on and then just set it on there, and then I could just weld them on. I don't have that. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna just put this on the back burner right now. Tomorrow morning I will go and pick up a 1/4 inch piece of, I think I'll just go get some 1/4 inch wood dowel and use that, and then we should be able to get all those plates lined up. Getting 4 plates lined up is a pain, but that didn't work. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, let's try this again. So I went and picked up some 1/4 inch round bar. Local Canadian Tire happened to have some. So I'm gonna break the tack welds off of, well, I'm gonna break most of the tack welds off of those tabs, and then try to rejig it and re-weld it. So let's give it a whirl. I just realized that that's gonna be wrong. There's a slight curve to the top of the hood and nose cone, So if I have all those tabs all aligned now on that piece of round bar, but if I weld those on, we're gonna have to bend that piece of plate to fit the curve of the hood, and then everything's gonna be out of alignment again. I think we have to bend it to the hood first. All right, that's looking pretty good. It's not quite perfect. The back side of these brackets is still sitting a little bit high, so the hood would be on a very sharp angle. So we're gonna have to sand the bottom of these brackets down, but I just kind of mocked it in here quick to make sure that the flipping action worked. So that works pretty good. Tucks up underneath there. We'll bring that down and kind of make those up. But I don't have time for that today, so I'm gonna leave it there. Catch up with you guys tomorrow. We'll see you then. And we're back. I got a couple more hours to work in the shed today. Probably not enough time to finish this project and get the hood mounted and everything, but we'll see how far we can get. So yesterday we had this guy all finished up. That's looking really good. The next step would be those swan neck pieces, but we mocked those into the car and they're not quite right. They're gonna need a little bit of adjustment yet. So that's what we're gonna be working on today. I went ahead and bolted them back together again, and so I got all 4 pieces in there, and then we can make the adjustments by grinding these pieces, and we'll grind them all as one so that they're all the same shape. Probably the first thing we're gonna do though is come in here and we'll drill another bolt hole kind of right about here, so we can take this bolt out and put our hinge pin in there, and then we can mock these into the car kind of all as one piece. And then once we're happy with them, we will mock it all up on the hood plate, tack them together with some kind of scrap pieces, and then get them mocked into the car. So lots to do and probably not enough time. So let's just get after it. that's pretty good progress. We're just about there. I need to do a little bit more adjustment on the bottoms of those of the swan necks to get it to sit a little bit lower. We're still just a hair bit high, but it looks good. We'll be able to bolt through the nose cone right there. But one other adjustment that we are going to make is we're actually going to shift this whole hinge mechanism over about an inch and a half to the driver's side, because right now it's really close to my rad cap, to the point where when the hood's open, I don't even know if we'll be able to get the radiator open. So, and it's hanging off of the bracket on this side because our bracket's a little asymmetrical. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim off the edges of our mounting plates here on the driver's side, and then we're just gonna shift the whole thing over basically as far as we can while still being somewhat on mounting points, so that it'll kind of give us a little bit more room there. So let's do a little bit more adjustment on those bottom feet and trim this guy back and see where we get to. We also need to do the finish welding on the mounting plates, then we can trim them. We got the hinges all welded up. Now comes I'm gonna say the hard part, but it's all been hard parts. We need to put the hood on the car, and it's kind of a two-man job, but there's nobody else in here. So I'm just gonna try to He-Man it up there, and then we'll clamp it onto the chassis, get it kind of where we think it's supposed to live, punch a couple holes, and mount to that plate. So wish me luck. And that's the hood mounted. It's kind of bittersweet. The hinge mechanism works exactly how we planned. The front of the hood drops down first, kind of hooks, ooh, Jesus, hooks underneath the nose cone, flips up, and we're good. We would obviously put a cable in there to keep it from falling over on itself. But it's not a great system. The hood is pretty flimsy, so it doesn't work great. We have to have a fairly large panel gap at the front because the hood drops at the front, but it also goes forward. The first action is down and forward. So we have to have a fairly large panel gap at the front of the hood. The hood is so flexible right now that the edges keep getting caught on each other. So it's not, I would say it's like a 4 out of 10. Yeah, we'll say that this system's a 4 out of 10. We might go to a regular forward flipping hood. Just basically we'd flip the swan necks around. So the swan necks would be on the hood, and then the whole hood, the first action would be up, and that would eliminate our panel gap issue. It would, it wouldn't allow the hood to tuck underneath the nose cone though. So it's possible that we get some aerodynamic lift. So we might have to look into some other kind of latching mechanisms to hold the front of the hood down. Or we might just go to a full hood pin setup where we just pick the hood off. It's actually not as heavy as I thought it would be. And then especially if we put in like a NACA duct or something into this, so you have something to grab onto, it probably wouldn't be that hard to just pick the whole hood off. So I don't know, we'll investigate some other options. But the nice thing is that with it at least mounted, we can move on to mounting the cowl, because even if we change the mounting system, the hood's not going to move around. So we can now mount the cowl and build a firewall, and then kind of keep moving forward. So I'm going to say that's a 6 out of 10. Maybe it's a 4, maybe it's a 1. I don't know, we'll see. But that's all we're going to do today. We'll move on to something else next week. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Go check us out on Instagram, Left Foot First Media, and we'll see you next week. I'm out of here. Nope.